Gallery to our meeting. The municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc acknowledges that it is located on Treaty 21 territory. We are thankful to the generations of people who have taken care of this land, including the Chippewas of the Thames First Nation and the Munsee Delaware First Nation and the Oneida Nation of the Thames. So our roll call goes to Jake.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. My name is Jake Dritter. I'm the Acting Secretary Treasurer for the Committee of Adjustment. I'll be hosting the meeting and managing participants. Committee members joining us this evening include Member Kumar, Member Vian, Member McGuire, Member Derbyshire, and Member Derbyshire, who's the Chair. Member Palkman and Member Kennis are absent. Municipal staff attending tonight: Aaron Besh, planner with the County of Middlesex, and Melanie Carson from Legal and Legislative Services team. Tonight we have 4 applicants to be heard by the committee. The chair will introduce each application and provide the applicant and agent an opportunity to speak to the application. The planner will follow with their report. The public will then be invited to make comments or ask questions about the application. The chair will then call upon the committee to ask questions and make comments before the chair calls for a vote on the application. Once a decision is made, there's a 20-day appeal period from the date of decision for minor variances and 20 days from the date of notice of decision for consents. If anyone wishes to be notified of a decision, you can make a request today or make a written request following the meeting. For virtual participants, please ensure your name is visible on your Zoom video, and we ask that you keep yourself muted until it is your turn to speak. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jake. So first off, I'm looking for an approval of the agenda. Mike and Brian, seconded. All in favor? That carries. And a recommendation that that's the agenda. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest by anyone? No, seeing none. We're moving on. The committee has received the minutes. I'm looking for a recommendation that the minutes of October 3rd be approved as written. Dale? And Brian seconds. All in favor? And that carries. So then our first submission for consideration, and I believe we saw this last month, so if you're seeing this one, it's an application for minor variance A23-2024 at 22399 Adelaide Road, County Road 81 in Mount Bridges. And I believe we have someone on Zoom for this one. And are they there?
Yes, I am.
Excellent, good. Welcome to our meeting. Then I'll turn it back to Erin for her report.
Thank you very much, Chair. If you don't mind, Jake, can I share my screen? Okay, I'll get this up here. So the first application before committee this evening is seeking relief on a number of minor variances. The first of which being section 4.141 of the zoning bylaw to permit a front yard depth of 13.3 meters, whereas a maximum of 4.8 meters is required based on the setbacks of the surrounding dwellings and the established building line. The second item being to permit 2 secondary suites that are 107 and 98.6 square meters in size, whereas the bylaw restricts secondary suites to 80% of the gross floor area of the primary dwelling unit to a maximum of 800 square feet. The primary dwelling unit itself would be 1,226 square feet in size. The third variance this evening is to permit a drive aisle width of 4.5 meters, whereas 7.3 meters is required. Number 4 is to permit a parking area that is 65% of the area of the front yard, whereas a maximum of 50% is permitted on residential lots. And finally, the fifth variance is to permit 2 parking spaces for the primary unit, whereas 3 parking spaces are required. So committee will be familiar with this property. It was originally brought to the October meeting, at which time it was deferred due to committee's recommendation that he add an additional parking space. So as you can see on our location map, the applicant has revised the parking orientation It is now a drive aisle into the property with 4 parking spaces that are easily accessible and accessible at all times. In order to facilitate this parking arrangement, we did need to add 2 additional variances this evening, but we did amend. Originally, we were requesting a reduction from 1 parking space, from 3 to 1, and now we're amended that from 3 to 2. So the property itself is on the west side of Adelaide Road between King Street and Wesleyan in Mount Bridges. The lands are approximately 475 square meters in size. The applicant is requesting to build a 2-story residence with 3 dwelling units inside. Again, 1 being primary and 2 secondary units with 4 total parking spaces. So that could be 2 per unit, or there could be a visitor space. It's just the arrangement that we were requesting this evening is that the primary unit have 2 instead of 3. The application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. I did not receive any comments myself in relation to this application. Actually, the only comment that was received was by the county engineer, who advised that he had no concerns with the application, but did advise that the applicant would require a permit prior to establishing a driveway onto the property. So I won't read my 4 tests of minor variance. They're quite lengthy because of the amount of variances. Really what I took into consideration here is that committee advised that they had concerns with the tandem parking spaces. The applicant has addressed that. The additional variance for parking coverage increase, as well as the drive aisle width, I think are both minor in nature. In regards to the aisle width, the drive aisle width, the requirement is 7.3 meters. But that is typically for, say, you have a commercial plaza with a parking lot with 2 two-way drive aisles. You have parking spaces on either side that are reversing into this area. So that's why we do require sort of the specified width of 7.3 meters. In this case, obviously, there's only one side of the parking lot that is stacked with parking spaces. The parking spaces are minimal, there's 4. I believe that the drive aisle width is appropriate. The applicant has indicated a sort of hammerhead at the bottom of the parking lot to allow parking space number 4 to reverse and exit the parking that way. So in terms of the application, I am satisfied that the 4 tests have been met, and therefore my recommendation this evening is approval. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Erin. Peter, do you have any concerns or questions to add to this?
No, not at this time. I think Erin pretty much covered it.
Okay, good. Then I'm going back to the committee for a recommendation. And see, Mike?
I'll make the recommendation that the staff have put forward, that it all be approved.
Okay, and supporting that? Dale, all in favor? And that carries.
Thank you.
Okay, so then we're moving on to 5.2. It's an application for minor variance A26, 2024, 22695 Troops Road. And I'm not sure if anyone's in the audience for this property. No? Okay. So then, Erin, I'll go to you for your report.
Thank you, Chair. So the next application before the committee this evening, the first variance that they are seeking is to permit a total lot coverage of 20%, whereas a maximum of 10% is permitted within the R5-6 zone. The application also requests to permit a side yard width of 3.5 meters, whereas a minimum of 5 meters is required in the R5-6 zone. And finally, the application seeks relief to permit a driveway that is 10.2 meters wide, whereas a maximum of 8 meters is permitted for a residential zone. So committee may be familiar with this property. This property was subject to 4 consents. They've created 4 rural residential lots, I believe in 2022. As part of that application, this is a bit of an older aerial photo, so it doesn't reflect what is there currently. 3 of the lots have been developed. This is sort of the last vacant lot on the strip. Adjacent to this property, between this property and the rail line, there is a berm, a safety berm, as well as a fence on top of the berm. That was a requirement of CN and the municipality when they originally did the consent. This lot specifically has already had a minor variance approved for lot coverage increase. It increased the lot coverage from 10% to 15%. Again, the applicants this evening are requesting an additional bump to the 20%. As well, the previous minor variance provided a reduced front lot setback of 12 meters, where I believe 15 was required in the zone. And that was approved, and that will still stand. So if the lot coverage increase is approved this evening, that would sort of supersede the previous approval, but the front yard setback will still stand. So this property is located, you can't see it in my location map here, but just above the property, it's actually a dead-end road. The landowner extended this road when they did the consents. So there is a bulb, there's a turnaround at that location, but it does dead end at the rail line. There is no road crossing at that location. So this property is pretty isolated in the sense that they're not getting a lot of road traffic. There is a bulb on the road if anyone needs to do a turnaround. In support of the application, especially in regards to the lot coverage increase, the applicants also provided a updated sort of septic design and plan by a qualified engineer that spoke to the size of septic system that could accommodate this particular home. They are satisfied that they can do a smaller septic bed than what was originally approved. I have had our chief building official review it, and he is satisfied with the response from the applicants and their engineer. So that does play a part into the lot coverage increase requirement. The application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. I did not receive any concerns other than CN Rail. I'm not sure if they just provide sort of standard responses when there's development within their sort of proximity. But they did provide quite a lengthy note with some requirements, most of which have been already addressed at the consent process, during the consent process. And I would say that was probably the more appropriate time to implement these. We had the berm, we had the fence on top of the berm, as well as the warning clause that they recommend was required to be registered on title as well. So we have addressed the CN concerns through the consent process. So in regards to the 4 tests of minor variance, I hinged my opinion on the fact that on the sort of north side, the property line that's sort of adjacent to the CN rail, they have a required setback of 7.3 meters, and that is to ensure that they are 30 meters outside of the right-of-way, the rail right-of-way. So they are not able to do a decrease of lot size on that, interior side yard width. On that side, they're stuck with that setback. So they are requesting from 5 meters to 3.5 meters on the one side to accommodate their 1-story home. The house adjacent to it has a setback of 5 meters. So there is still sufficient distance between the 2 dwellings, regardless of the 1.5 meter difference. In regards to the driveway width increase as well, there were no concerns from our staff in regards to safety of road access or drainage of the water off the driveway onto the roadway. Again, this is a fairly isolated road. There's not a lot of traffic that is generated, so road safety with an additional width is really not a concern. And in terms of lot coverage increase, again, the applicant's engineer has demonstrated that even with the lot coverage increase, they could still accommodate the private services that are required, and there still appears to be adequate amenity space. So, I am satisfied that the lot coverage increase is minor. So, in that being said, my recommendation this evening is approval. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that, Erin. Any questions by committee members? Seeing none, I'm looking for a recommendation. And Mike?
Motion to approve.
Okay, and supported by Randy. All in favor? And that carries. And moving on to 5.3, it's an application for minor variance A27, 2024, 7842 Longwoods Road, County Road 2. Owners Thane Odell. Is there anyone in the audience on this property? No. Okay, so seeing none, Erin, I'll go to you for your report.
Thank you very much, Chair. So I'm not going to give too much detail because I am recommending deferral this evening. Just through our sort of analysis of the application, it was determined that the previous minor variance that the applicant was applied for and was approved for, he was no longer in following one of the conditions outside, or he's no longer abiding by that condition. So we do need to revise the application, bring forward another variance that is sort of outside the scope of what this one is for. So the applicant is looking to build a second residential unit on this property. It needs to be in the front yard, it needs to be on the ground floor, just based on sort of the layout of the property itself. He does also operate a home business from his workshop, and the condition that is not being met is just the area outside that he is using for outdoor storage. So we are going to be addressing that and bring it back to the December meeting. So with committee's approval this evening, I am recommending a deferral just to allow the applicant time to amend that application. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Any questions from the committee members? So it's looking for a deferral. Ryan, seconded by Randy. All in favor? Oh, you have a question?
I just want to know, can you put on there friendly amendment that is deferred to the December 2024 meeting? Motion to defer requires a date that it goes to.
Yeah.
That's all.
Sure. Okay, we'll add that. And then, okay, so with that amendment, all in favor? And that passes.
Thank you, Chair.
Then moving on to 5.4, it's an application for consent for 7859 Park House Drive. Owners are Amanda and Lou Fawcett. And now we must have people in the audience for that one. Okay, and the Fawcett's are on Zoom, right? Good. Okay, Erin, can I go to you for your report?
Thank you, Chair. I'll just zoom in here so there's a little bit more context. There we go. I'll stay on this one for now. Okay. So this application before committee this evening is a consent for surplus farm dwelling severance. The subject property is located on the south side of Drive, just west of Christina Road. The lands are approximately 40.2 hectares in size. The applicant is proposing to sever the residential lot from the larger farm parcel. Again, this is sort of like a reverse severance in that the farmland is being sold directly to a bona fide farmer who qualifies for this type of severance. It wasn't entirely clear if the applicant could qualify themselves. So I think that was sort of the way that the operation could occur. The lands proposed to be severed are approximately 39.2 hectares in size. Again, this is the farmland itself. This is primarily land in agricultural production. It does contain a portion of significant woodland, as well as an irrigation pond, both of a portion of which is regulated by the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority. And then the lands to be retained would be the residential lot being 0.99 hectares in size, approximately 85 meters of frontage along Park House. The lands contain a single detached dwelling which is privately serviced and a storage barn. The septic system and well are wholly located on the retained lot. The only caveat to this is that the house was constructed in 2018. It replaced a previous home at this location, which was constructed in the early 1900s. However, one of the qualifying pieces of a surplus farm dwelling severance through the county official plan and through the Strathroy-Caradoc official plan is the age of the home. So the intent of this policy is really to ensure that we are not manufacturing surplus farm dwelling severances, that these are existing homes. The provincial policy statement provides a very specific policy in relation to these types of severances that are not available to everyone. They're very, very specifically supposed to be for farmers who, through farm consolidation, purchasing a new lot, they do not want to be a landlord to another home, so they, as part of, you know, it's not part of their farming operation, so they can sever it from the lands. In order to qualify, again, the minimum is 10 years prior, and that is at the county level. However, at Strathroy-Caradoc's level, our official plan states that the age of the home needs to be before January 1st, 1999. Our updated official plan, which is currently under appeal, has that 10-year date. However, because it's under appeal, it's not in effect, so we do have the January 1st, 1999. Either way, the house does not meet the 10 years, nor does it meet the January 1st date. So, you know, although it is everything seems to be wholly contained, the lot area seems appropriate, that is sort of where my analysis gets hung up. So the application has been circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. The Senior Development Coordinator recommended, if approved, that a drainage reapportionment be required. The County Safety and Standards Officer provided his usual comment that the retained farmland, or sorry, the severed farmland would need a 911 address. St. Clair Region also advised that the severance is outside of the regulated area, so they do not have any concerns. I did receive a phone call from, maybe I'll just zoom in here. There is a church located just 7899 Park House Drive right here, this little property here. There is a church at this location, and if you can see, oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm trying to do this without a mouse. I really should have brought my equipment with me. There we go. A portion of the farmland is being used as a parking lot for this church. So the gentleman who reached out was a member of the church and wanted to ensure that, you know, through this process, was there going to be any effect on their arrangement that they had. So I don't know that there was a concern necessarily, but I did put him in contact with the landowner. So just for committee's information, that there is a little portion of that is sort of affected by the neighboring property. So again, you know, the severance itself meets the criteria of a surplus farm dwelling severance, other than that age difference. The official plan doesn't have many numbers in it. It's supposed to be a very high-level guiding document. However, when it comes to surplus farm dwelling severances, we have two pieces of criteria that are very key. The number one being that it's a bona fide farmer and it's farm consolidation, and the second one being that date. So with that being said, my recommendation this evening is denial. Thank you.
Thank you for the report, Aaron. The Fawcett's are on Zoom. Do you have any comments to add to this discussion?
Hi there, Amanda Fawcett here, and Luke Fawcett's also here with me. I guess the only comments that I do have, unfortunately, we are well aware that our current home was built in 2018. The intent when we built this home was not for the purpose of severance. It was actually to move closer to home to care for a parent, which unfortunately passed 1 month before the home was built. So the house that was here earlier was built in the early 1900s. And like I said, the intent was not to do a severance at that time. There'll be no loss of any agricultural land. In regards to the church, there has been an area in which that they use as a parking lot that was granted their use over many years, which we are trying to work towards ensuring that would stay that way. We do believe with a severance that would be more likely, because in the event that we need to look at financially for our own situation to sell the entire property, that we cannot predict exactly who the buyer would be and if they would still be agreeable to that previous agreement.
Yeah, that's fair, thanks. Thanks for that. Committee members, I'm going to go to you for any questions. Yes, Mike.
Thank you. I will turn my mic on since we have people joining us virtually. So through you, Chair, to Aaron, I think you made a comment, and I was reading the report at the time, so I missed it a bit. The provincial policy statement, the PPS, what does it say about this? Is there anything specific in it?
Thank you, Chair. To Member McGuire or Deputy Mayor McGuire, can't remember what we...
Committee members, fine.
Committee Member McGuire. It does not have an age associated with it. This is something that is set at the county level. Through the previous official plan review at the county, there was a lot of discussion about this, about what would be an appropriate age. Because again, the intent is really not to allow people to build a house in Sever, build a house in Sever. It's really to, if there's an existing home at this location, to sort of divest yourself of that. But in regards to the provincial planning statement, it does not have a date associated with it.
Sorry.
Okay, go to Brian.
Thank you. So this is just my kind of thoughts on this thing here. It's kind of a unique situation in that there was an old farmhouse there, right? For hundreds of years. They replaced it with this. And I know the new date says 2018. But if you replace it, right, if you think about development fees and that, when you take that house down, you're not awarded, you don't have to pay the development fees on a new house because you're reconstructing that house there. I feel like this house should continue on the same as the age kind of went, as if it were an old farmhouse. We didn't actually change anything. We put the house right back where it was. It's not like they came out here and made a new lot, built a new house. And to be honest with you, the severance that the person that's going to is a bona fide farmer that will be in this area for a long time, and hopefully will make a good agreement with the church. He is located locally, so he knows that. I feel this is a good severance. I feel it's just kind of one of those situations that is beginning to fall into this crack of, they just made a kind of deal that way. But to me, I would say that there's always been a house there. I would continue it on. Just because this one was built in 2018 doesn't mean that we should hold that line to them. I believe there's been a house there for 100 years, so that's how I would go with it. It's not a new lot. It's not a new homestead. The homestead was there all the way along, so I would be in favor of this severance.
Okay, thank you for that, Brian. Any other comments? Back to Mike.
Yeah, I'll just make the motion that the consent be approved, that conditions, excuse me, I have to get to the bottom here. I think there was a couple of conditions that they had requested.
Can I just jump in here for a second?
Yeah, please.
The, maybe I can recommend that it be deferred until our staff can actually put together the conditions that might be required for this.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you want to, I'll just amend it then, defer to the December
Correct.
2024 meeting, noting that it will be approved, and we're looking for the conditions that would then apply.
Yeah, I think we'd still have to actually approve it at next meeting, but
Yeah.
defer it to the next meeting so
Defer
that
it.
our staff can pull together the conditions that will be required for this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, that's good with me. Thanks, Chair.
okay? Okay, so everyone understands that? So I've got Mike making the motion to defer it, Brian supporting, all in favor? Okay, and that carries, so we will defer it till next meeting. Okay, so then that is all the properties we're looking at. Any inquiries by members? None? Other business? Jake, I think you're gonna take this one first, so bring one.
Thank you, Chair. So this is an item that was referred to the Committee of Adjustment from a council meeting. It's a request from a homeowner for some refund on some fees. There's a list in his letter there. There's 6 items that they're requesting a refund for. Really, only one of them the committee can speak to. The rest are going to have to go back to council. So number 6 is the one that the committee can deal with. So I guess I'll give a little bit of a background as far as I understand for this property. So in January 2020, they had a fire. The existing house was a total loss, so they had to tear it down. They replaced that single detached dwelling with a semi-detached building. And in and around that time, there was an extension to services on Adelaide Road, sanitary services, to support a development on the other side of the road. So the house was put on a temporary holding tank until services were extended. And through that discussion, I guess it was determined that each unit would need an individual service to the like each unit of the semi-detached dwelling. But our bylaws don't allow that. They only allow a single service per property. So then they were pushed down the road of a severance to create 2 lots and then 1 service per lot, of course. So that application for severance was in August 2021. They had 2 years to fulfill the conditions. It lapsed last October 12th, 2023, it lapsed. So they did not fulfill the conditions of consent. And that basically makes the application void. So in their letter, they do speak to, if there's a possibility to go through the severance again, that is not possible without a reapplication. So I think the committee kind of has a decision to make whether they want to refund the application fee from the original application from 2021, which is what they're requesting, or for committee's consideration, you could waive a reapplication fee, and when that comes, you could consider not implementing the $1,000 parkland dedication fee that they mentioned in their letter that they had an issue with. And then, yeah, like I said, items 1 to 5 in their letter will have to be referred back to council for a decision. So,
Okay, any comments, questions from committee members? Yes, Brian?
I would just say it's hard to get a full view of what's going on here with the small amount of information we're kind of given. It's this is a 4-year thing then, it's kind of gone on.
yeah, it's been going on since the fire in 2020. And I wasn't here in 2020 or 2021 when that happened, so admittedly I do have limited information as well. But this is what I have.
Yeah.
I'll go again. So Do they have two separate things now? They just don't have a severance. Is that what's going on there?
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I did forget to mention that. So when Adelaide Road was redone, they did install 2 sets of services. So right now they're only utilizing one, but the second one is available for connection. And in the original consent application, there was a condition in there that they pay a fee for that connection, basically. So, yeah.
Okay. What are we ruling here on then?
So they have requested a refund of their severance application, their original severance application. So because that's a committee application, that's really all the committee can rule on. So that fee was $1,750.
I'll just keep rolling.
Yep, sure.
So they didn't get it complete because of us, them, like why did they not complete the severance?
Their choice, they didn't fulfill the conditions of the severance. I did follow up with them multiple times to try and get them to fulfill it. In their letter, they state that they had an issue with the $1,000 parkland dedication, and that's why they didn't do it, but they didn't fulfill any of the conditions. So, yeah, it's kind of their choice.
So just for my clarity here too, so the house burns down, they built a they had one connection, and they said, no, you can't do that, you need 2 connections, and now we have to sever the property into 2 lots, right?
That's right.
And that's why the parkland dedication showed up, and that's why they're probably saying, no, I don't wanna pay that, because we're just rebuilding the house.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah. The parkland dedication doesn't really have anything to do with the rebuilding the house. It's a standard condition on all of our severances.
Sure.
So.
Okay. Mike?
Thank you. I have probably more information than what is just contained in the report because of my position on council, and this person's reached out to me for other reasons. I'm not going to share that because it hasn't properly come in front of the Committee of Adjustment, so I don't think that would be proper protocol. I'm wondering, not that I want to push everything down the road, but I'm wondering if this is another one that we could defer to December 2024 and have staff make a specific request over to the applicant, Mr. Milliken, to have him appear to provide us, I think, the missing information. Because to move forward right now, I think I would abstain because I have information that other people don't have, but I think you should all have it, or I shouldn't be speaking further about it.
Okay. And I understand this had gone to council prior?
It did. There was minimal discussion at council, and the property owners were not present at council either, I don't believe.
Okay.
So, sorry. If I were to, just judging off of what we have here, what I would recommend is that I would give them back their money, or we would hold it if they were gonna resever. That's where cause I feel like there's more to this story, that if we have to make a decision before council makes a decision, that's what I would do. I would say if they want to apply for the severance again, then the new severance would be, free, however we word.
That seems logical, but I agree with Mike, having the owner come here and explain it to us may clarify it a lot more.
My only thing with that is, are we allowed to hear it? Like that's because there's pages blanked out as we scroll down through our notes. Like, are we actually allowed to hear what the other side of it is to make this decision?
So the only thing redacted on this is just like contact information. information. So if the owner wishes to share information with the committee, they can choose to do that.
Okay. Then I would be good with.
So are we deferring this to next
So,
meeting?
unless somebody else wants to speak before I make the motion, no.
Dale does.
I think I'd be in the interest of deferral as well.
So then I'll make the motion, Chair, that we defer to the December 2024 meeting and request staff to speak with the applicant to see if he could attend the meeting in person or virtually to receive questions from the committee.
Okay, supported for that? Dale, all in favor? That's deferred to that meeting. The next item is schedule of meetings, and we see we've got the next meetings set up.
What's that?
First Thursday of the month,
Yeah.
5:30.
Yeah.
And due to the holiday, there won't be a meeting in January. Okay, the other was our schedule. Okay, so I do need a recommendation that this schedule be approved by Brian, supported by Dale. All in favor? And that carries. And I need a recommendation for adjournment. Dale and Mike, all in favor? And we are adjourned. Thank you.
Y'all got it.